I need to. I always like to double check because it says we're live, but there's always like a lag.
A little lag, yeah.
But I don't. Here we go. Okay, I think we're live.
Yay!
Kim messaged me and she was like, "I'll set an alarm. I'll be there."
Oh, let me see. Let me put up. I didn't read the book, but I read the synopsis.
She's been in a massive book slump. So
listen, I feel you, Kim. I am on the same boat.
It's it's been a weird year for reading, like the past month or two, but
yeah. I feel like it's been a weird time period from like 2022 till now. I thought I had recovered, but no.
All right. Well, we're going to get started. This is the live show for Your House is on Fire, Your Children All Gone by Stephen Keesby. I think it's Keesby. I am half German, but I do not speak German, so I don't know.
But I would imagine that you have like, I don't know if it's a thing, but like that you have like the basic of like the accent maybe. So maybe you're right.
No, I think that's, and I remember somebody like told me how to say it on a video that I did about this book a long time ago, but I think it's Keesby because I think I was saying Keisby, and that definitely sounds right. But yeah. I don't know. Either way, I feel bad because he deserves to be known, but
yeah.
This is a translated work. It was originally written in German, and then I think they call it, like the title over there is Hemmersmoor, like the name of the town instead of this line, which I wasn't able to figure out like why they changed it to, because Your House is on Fire, Your Children are all gone is a line from like a nursery rhyme, like a European German nursery rhyme.
Oh.
So I don't know why, but
wow, okay. Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. Okay, so Kim's here and Amanda, Nard. Okay, I was really nervous about this book because it is really like dark and weird, and
yeah, we need to discuss some stuff that I was like, I had to rewind. I'm like, wait, did I hear that right?
Oh, I'm sorry, Amanda. I know she was gonna try to do the audiobook too, so I wonder.
Yeah, I don't think it's the right way to go, and I guess we'll talk about that as we go.
Yeah.
But
I never listened to it, so I don't know if is it one person narrating?
Oh no, it's
for
I maybe more than two, but I know there are two. There's a male and a female, and then I don't know if there's other ones, but I don't know if they're changing their voice or whatever. But I'm going to say that now that you say that it's a translated work, I can understand why I'm having a hard time with it. I just thought it was like from England or something, just because of the narrator has an English accent. So I did not even know it was translated. But now I understand. It's hard for me with translated works.
It's interesting that they chose an English accent. Yeah. I mean, maybe they thought like somebody with a German accent would be too difficult for some people. I don't know. That's weird.
Know. When was this written?
Like 2011, I think, was when it was first published, and then it got translated like a year or two later.
So why is it written so like what's the word? Like proper?
Maybe because he's not American.
maybe it was like, wow. I'm thinking about like the person that translated the work,
Yeah, I wonder. I kind of feel like it might read the same in German, like the equivalent of how you feel would be maybe how someone feels reading it in the original language. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about it, I guess. Yeah. I chose this book because it's one of my favorite books of all time.
Okay. I can see why.
Huh?
I can see why. I mean, it's rough.
It ticks a lot of my boxes. So we've got like coming of age, kind of like kids, growing up. And then like, I really like multiple points of view.
Okay.
And I like it feels like a Ray Bradbury like story or book in a sense that each chapter is a different perspective, but it feels like a little vignette. So I know one of the chapters, I think which character is it? I think it's Christian when he goes to the carnival and the guy's like, come back at midnight, I'll show you hell. That was like a separate like short story all on its own at one point.
Yeah, it
so
really
it's
was.
like, so like these little chunks can like work by themselves, but then like you see the connections and like the passage of time without having to have every single step from every single character.
Right.
And I just like the flow of that kind of story.
Yeah.
So I think, and I like the really dark stuff too, like the wildly like messed up stuff.
I'm telling you, one of these things like really scarred me. But I was gonna ask you, because it's funny that you would say that they're like their own little stories, because while I was reading it, like at the beginning, when we jump into, I can't remember who the first female character it is that we jump into, but she was talking about something, and I can tell that the stories were connecting, but at the same time, I felt like they were short stories. And I'm like, I have to ask Carol if this is all connected or if it's just portions, because I was really confused there.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I like about it, but I know is something that can be difficult to follow. Like, I'm not like, even for me, like I have to really be paying attention. But I like when you get an event about one character from a different character's perspective. And in this book, it's so like nonchalantly mentioned. Like it'll be like, oh, you know, now we're going to the store and it's been 6 months since this other character got arrested. Like it's just completely different events that like really don't have anything to do with what's happening to the character you're reading in the moment, but they're like mentioning it. Yeah. And like I think it's like the first line of this book maybe is time is of no importance. And so like you're not even, it's of so little importance
that it's all over the place.
Yeah, like the characters are just like, oh yeah, you know, 8 months ago, you know, Shirley went to go see her grandma. You know, like it's like it doesn't matter what it does, if that makes sense. Like it's so important, and what's happening to this other character is so important. But like to this character, they're like, oh yeah, whatever.
It's
you know,
like,
it's
whatever.
like neighborhood gossip or like neighborhood events. Like
you
and
know,
I really like that.
Yeah, I liked it, but I was super confused. And I think this is where the physical and the audiobook comes in, because it was a lot to take in. And then there was unimportant parts that I felt like I was putting too much focus on just in case. So that had me really confused. But you know what, you're talking about like the scenes and stuff. Have you ever watched How I Met Your Mother?
No.
Oh, okay. There's one episode in there that does just that. And it breaks apart like the rooms, and you're going through each perspective in different times in different rooms through each. It's so weird. And I feel like that's what the book was trying to do as well. I liked it. I have to say that I DNF'd it though. I have not DNF'd it. I have 25 minutes left and I just couldn't finish it. So I'm DNFing it in the sense of I'm going to find out what happens here. But it's not one of those books. Exactly.
I'm not going to like spoil something crazy for you. You know what
exactly.
I mean? So,
because at 25 minutes, I know everything that has happened. It was just probably putting the pieces together, which is what I was having a hard time with. But I am going to reread it though in physical format, because I think it'll be easier. And now knowing what I know of the book, I can see why you love it so much.
Yeah. And with the audiobook too, I think like, I don't know if it said like the name of the character at the beginning of each chapter, but at least like for me, if they're not like names common to me or like my life, I need to like, even like a high fantasy novel, places and people, I need to see the name.
Yeah.
And I like to make connections and to remember like, okay, this character's on this quest or this character's got this storyline. Like I need to physically see it. And I've also read this book 3 times. And the first time I read it was like 2020 or 2021.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, it's not a really long book and it's really interesting. And the thing with this is because of its format, you could probably find something different in it each time you read it. Yeah. Has that been the case?
Yes. It's like, oh, or it's like something you just forget and it's like fun to experience it. German version of films. Big Chill, St. Elmo's Fire.
I've
Many
never seen
arcs.
this.
Me neither. But yeah, that's many arcs weave together. So like I kind of think of like Dandelion Wine by Ray Bradbury, where like the chapters, I know one of those chapters was like a short story all by itself at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And like you could read them, some of them like excerpted from themselves and like enjoy it. And I think, what's that book by Josh Mallerman with the short novellas?
Oh, Goblin.
Yes.
Yeah.
That book reminded me of Ray Bradbury stuff. You've got this small town, different storylines. Somehow they're related or connected, but it's like they could be apart from each other.
Different, yeah. I love books like that or stories like that.
Yeah. So basically, the book is about our 4 main characters.
Should we get to that yet?
Yeah. I'm just gonna sit here and be like, I just love it. Just love it.
Oh my gosh.
So 4 main characters. We meet them when they're fairly young, and then we get them coming of age in the town of Hemmersmore, which is, I don't know if you caught on to the timeline, which even though time is of no importance, this is, from what I believe, is post-World War II.
Okay.
And their Hemmersmore, their little town, is like cut off from the rest of the world. They talk about how the outsiders always talk about how there's incest and like they just live a different life in Hemmersmore. Like they're kind of looked down upon, and it's just like like they're not the outsiders, but like they're just cut off from the rest of the world. I don't know if like they're rural or whatever you would call it, but
almost like a cult, like
like it gives you the feeling like you're not allowed to leave or anything, but that's not the case. I think it's just it's like one of those small towns where nobody leaves.
Yeah, you get sucked into it.
Yeah, you work at the factory, you marry somebody you've known your whole life, and you have kids, and it's just like you're there forever. And so our 4 main characters, we follow them, and they make bad choices and weird things.
You think?
Yeah. Like some things you think it's going to be, maybe it'll be just kids being kids, but it's not, And then you've got other people in the town. You're kind of like taking in the small town life, like Bernard says.
Yeah.
Through the eyes of these characters and what their like home life is like, and then what they're experiencing in the town. And it's definitely really dark. We've got murder and molesting and assault and cannibalism, all kinds of stuff. But one of the things that I think you can take away is at the carnival, when Christian, he goes to a carnival, and one of the attractions is this guy saying that like, I can take you to hell or show you hell. And it reminded me of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because he's like, here's the doorway to hell. Like, this place is a hell mouth. So like we are on top of the entrance into hell. And that's kind of like, although I feel this book isn't like a supernatural horror, it's more like the people are horrible. It's kind of like gives you the opportunity to be like a little imaginative and think like, oh, because this place is located where it's located, like that's why there's all this evil in these people and in this area. But I also think there's like a connection with the post-World War II aspect of it. But also it's kind of like a cycle. Is it because they're on top of the entrance to hell and these things are leaking out? Yeah. Or is it because they have a concentration camp that was right there?
Right there.
And that there are people there that were a part of like the Nazi camps. I think it's Christian who finds out his father helped deliver food to the concentration camps. Because he sees a picture of his dad, and there's like, oh, he thinks they're like soldiers, like people in uniforms or something. But then you come to realize it's like what the Jews had to wear. Like they all wore the same type of stuff. And yeah. And so it's kind of like all this evil, real world evil.
Yeah.
But then you've got like a little bit of a funny superstition, or like, is this something supernatural under the surface?
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had a hard time following along, and to me, I think it was the writing style, like the how it was written. Not necessarily with the scenes and all of that, but just the verbiage used. I sometimes couldn't follow along. I knew that there was the character that Christian, is it, that comes across the guy that's going to show him hell. I knew that that interaction was happening, but you just cleared up for me that he was going to a carnival, because I did not grasp that part at all.
Yeah.
The post World War II connections, I did not get. I was trying to connect to the story so much that I couldn't pay attention to anything else.
Right. Like nothing is blatantly spoken about.
Yeah.
And I think some of the things that finding out like the timeline of the book, or when things happen, or when we're at in the history of the world, is something that on a first read was way more difficult to ever see than reading it on a second read. When like I've already read the end of the book and I understand what these barracks are. So I don't know if it made it to the point, but one of the characters has a girl take him to these barracks that are like abandoned, and he doesn't understand what they are. But then once he starts connecting like what the picture is that his dad has and what these barracks are, you start to realize like maybe these were barracks for like Nazi like soldiers or whatever, or maybe it was like the actual like place where the Jews were kept.
Concentration,
yeah. And so it's definitely things that it's easier to catch on like a second read. But I think part of the reason why I like this book too is just like the I don't know, like the gory, weird grossness of it, because it's like, I feel like when things are written kind of like, not like beautiful prose, but I forget how you framed it earlier. You were talking about, maybe before we were live. I don't know. You're talking about how it's written, like more proper. I don't know. I forget what we were phrasing it. Yeah, I feel like I like when you throw in something like cannibalism, like right, you know, like I like when it's kind of like, I don't want to call it shock factor, but I like when it's just there. Oh, we were eating at this cooking competition, and all of a sudden we had black tongues, and you've got a black tongue and I've got a black tongue. Oh, you know what that means? We must be eating human meat. Like it's just like,
you're
it
like,
escalates
what?
so fast.
It does. I felt like this was a horror soap opera where you're just following this town and you're just really hearing gossip from each one of the characters with a little bit of like, ugh, thrown in there.
Yeah. And they're all like, I think because of like the time that they're in, and also being kind of like cut off from the world, they're so like engrossed in their superstitions. Like it's so much easier for them to believe that something is real. Like the woman, I think her name's Kath, who claims that all these dead children's ghosts are like following her.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, there could be ghosts. They're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like it's so easy for them to believe, especially like when you're getting it through children's eyes, because they're more apt to believe that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just, I just love how you're just like in it. Like you're in the town the whole time with the characters the whole time. And and it's just the way they're all connected. We are getting kind of spoilery, so hopefully with everyone.
I don't even know how many people are on or.
But yeah, so like, and then, because then we have the character Alex, who is a monster. He ends up.
Is he the one that we start the book with?
That I remember. The prologue is like back in the past. No, we start with Martin.
Oh, Martin. Okay. You see, I had a really hard time following what characters were what. So I feel like that's part of I need to reread this because they're just all over the place.
So Alex is the one whose dad owns like the inn, the bar or whatever.
Okay.
And he has an older brother, and the older brother is supposed to inherit the bar, but he decides to go off. He ends up getting married to a girl in town, but he decides to go off and like explore the world. He wants more than just like like inheriting the bar. But Alex is the one, so he eventually is going to take over the bar because his older brother doesn't want it. But he's also the one who sends the other little boy under the ice.
With the hatchet.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he sends him twice. Or they send him under the ice. He comes back. They're like, okay, you earned the money. You retrieved the hatchet from under this frozen lake or whatever.
I didn't see that coming.
And then they send him back under again, and he never comes back. But then so everyone knows that Alex did it, and he gets sent away. But then he comes back and rapes his friend. And then while he's the chauffeur to the like fancy rich people, he goes and picks up the girlfriend of the rich boy and rapes her. And so, and then when his brother leaves permanently to go travel the world, ends up marrying his brother's sister after his sister was having sex with the father.
With the father.
Yeah. It's a mess, right? I love it.
Yeah, it was like, I'm serious, like a soap opera. But I didn't get like the parts where he raped the friend. The part that really got to me were when they were talking about what they would play in the woods.
Yes. They would,
and they were just, we would rape and they would rape us and back and forth. And I'm like, is it a game?
Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like maybe if they had more access to the outside world, they would realize
how wrong that was. Like they're just like, oh, we were playing and we were acting and they were doing this and I'm just like, they would tie us to the tree and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. But that's the thing. Is it because they're at the entrance to hell? There's all this evilness.
Yeah.
Or is it because people just suck and they're cut off from the world and they don't know any better? Like
I think that has a little bit more to it. But you have. I could not connect the lady that was in town with the little boy that the husband died at the war or what. I think it was the war. I'm not even sure, but he dies and she's at this town and all the wives are like always on the lookout because she's going to steal the husbands or whatever.
Yeah. So she's this nice, good looking woman. And of course they're jealous of her, but also she, when she worked, I can't remember their name, but the rich family in town, the Vaughn something.
Oh yeah, I could not keep up with the names.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I've read this book so many times though. But she works there, and then so does
the dad of Linda. Was it Linda?
Yeah. Okay. Lynn's father works there as well, and so he starts to get a little crush on her. So Lynn's mother is like, "We need to do something about this," and all the women band together and send a letter to this woman and her son to like make them think we can go get this money.
It was them?
Yes. Because the mailman is like, oh yeah, she got a letter. Wink, wink. They sent her off, and that's why Lynn's mother like kind of gets sick.
Yeah, I know that
afterwards is because I don't think she meant
for her to die.
The woman and her son to go like die in the blizzard. I think she just was trying to get rid of them, like get them out of town.
Yeah.
And away from her husband. Yeah. But
do you think that they were having an affair? It is led to believe.
No, I think the dad was just super into her because we see a few times where she's kind of like, oh yeah, thanks for the stuff. I'll get it. You don't have to help me carry it. She seems more.
Oh, I thought she was trying to hide something from the little girl. Like, no, don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I feel like, I don't know.
Because remember when the little boy was talking to Linda and was like, yeah, she was cursing your father and cursing this. And she was just really upset. And she mentioned my dad or whatever. I thought that she was feeling remorse for, getting cookie with the dad. I don't know.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I want to see this comment. Hold on. It's weird how it both reminded me of how awful isolated societies can be, but at the same time, it made me miss that aspect of not being constantly influenced by global opinions on the internet. Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes I do just want to run away and live off the grid and be shut.
Can we really handle that? I was talking about that with my husband earlier today, as a matter of fact, that I was like, can you imagine like even going back to the 80s, how so many people are like, oh, I wish we could go back to the 80s, or I want to live in the 80s. And I'm like, do you know what it was like to live in the 80s? I mean, I loved it. Yes, it was a time of its own, but you can't go back from now and what we have and all the information
Right.
to go back to. It's really hard, you know. So I can't imagine these people. They had like they were closed off, no information, no nothing. They were just being human.
Evil human.
Yeah, evil human.
Disgusting humans.
What I thought when the mom was like, oh my gosh, I knew they had done something, but I thought what they had done was convince all the people or talk to the people not to let them stay with them, kind of situation.
Well, I think they didn't like her to begin with. They were like, she's an outsider, and they were really looking down on her for like not having a husband or not having him around. And I think they also, some of them thought that she was lying about the father, like who the father was, or, you know, and then like the little boy, of course, poor kid, is like making up like war hero stories about his dad. But I don't think that was the case, you know.
Right,
like,
right.
They didn't like her. They didn't want her around. And then,
wow, I didn't expect that. I mean, I knew they were doing something, but I didn't expect that they wrote the letter. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Horrendous. So we talked about Alex. We talked about Lind, who also, her dad, horribly like shoved her face through the glass and completely disfigured her. And then everyone's cruel to her later, which is so horrible. But
yeah, because she gets blamed for that thing or whatever, the baby situation.
Yeah.
Wow. That, I mean, I'm just like, wow. People.
Yeah, I know.
It's a fucked up book, girl.
Like her friend Aunt drops the baby, breaks her leg, and then she turns around after Lynn's blamed for this. Lynn loses her scholarship. She loses everything. Her dad loses his job, and then Aunt turns around and gets the scholarship. And that's why she goes to the house and meets the son of the like rich family. And that's when she gets picked up by the chauffeur, Alex, who rapes her.
Wow.
And, but she ends up marrying the rich son, but also once he's gone, she like turns into a shut-in and dies. And that's what we get in the opening prologue, is them at her funeral. Yeah. So
that was Linda. Was that Linda's funeral?
That was Aunt's
funeral. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's what I wanted to ask you, because I'm like, I know there was a funeral at the beginning, but I don't know which one of these characters. So I was like, I needed to ask you which one it was. Oh my gosh. I'm glad she pissed on her. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, you should have known you were in for a wild ride when the prologue is someone pissing on someone's grave.
I know. I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what this bitch did. It was really messed up, Kim. It was like, but it was messed up in a sense that you're just like it wasn't like gloomy. I mean, I guess it was a little gloomy, but I was expecting more of like, it's not gothic, right? But I was expecting a little bit more of a gothic when I heard it was like the, what is this? The mansion or whatever.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad it wasn't. And
it's got like the hedge maze surrounding it and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's like on the back of the book, it's compared to Shirley Jackson and stuff.
Yes.
And I think that works from what I've read from her. I think that works.
You like Shirley Jackson's works?
I only like We Have Always Lived in the Castle. That's like one of my favorite books of all time. I've read The Haunting of Hill House. It's fine.
It was. I didn't.
I think I've read Hangs a Man, which was weird, but yeah.
I've read We Have Always Lived in the Castle and then The Haunting on Hill House. I think those are the only two. I could have read one more, but I think those are the only two. And I just, out of the two, I liked We Have Always Lived in the Castle better, but I was still like, because I don't like ambiguous endings, and I need a little bit more straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I enjoyed this one, but I do see the similarities or the connections that they're making with the back of the book with that.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. This is my first book by the author.
Yeah, I haven't either. I just got another book of his in the mail like last week though, so I'm gonna read that one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. See how it goes. But all right, so we talked about Alex, Lind, Ank, Christian, we talked about a little bit. He went to the carnival, and to be allowed to see how he had to bring his sister's
Oh my gosh. Like, bro, I was like, did this kid just go in his sister's room?
Yeah. So I don't remember the guy's name who has the hell or whatever, who has the the carnival attraction or whatever. Yes. Damn it, that's gonna bother me. Hold on. I probably have it.
I can barely remember the other names.
Dang it. Okay, I don't remember, but it's some kind of like, I don't freaking know. Anyways, I don't remember.
Rico, Tico,
yes,
something.
It might be Rico.
Rico? Okay.
Yeah. And he's like, hey, you go home and you whisper this in your sister's ear and then you catch like her soul or whatever that comes out. Well, Christian's like, F that. Like, I'm just going to smother her to death and bring her soul or her life force or whatever. And the Rico guy's like, what the hell is this? You didn't follow the instructions. He's like, why would I? He killed his sister.
Like nothing. Like he was like, I jumped out the window and I went to meet him. I was like,
yeah.
What? Yeah. Can you imagine living with somebody like that that'll just come in and, you know, where you have to feel the safest?
But then once we find out what his dad is like, can you really be shocked?
Yeah.
So he kills his sister, and then I think the mom kind of knows because she hates him afterwards, treats him differently, and then a little bit later, his sister is pregnant, and so he's like, "Who's the dad?"
Yeah, I feel like he was naive, but you see his naiveness and his evilness sort of like click.
Yeah,
which was really interesting to see.
And he's like, he starts to put things together. Like his dad is very sweet to his sister and is very, I don't know, shows preference towards her and calls her the German word for kitty. I don't remember what it is.
I don't remember either.
Calls her kitty. I'm like,
yuck.
So then the way that he describes realizing that his dad is the father of his sister's baby, he says something about like a little version of his dad being inside her or something.
He says, I put my ear to her belly that night and I heard my dad through. I was like,
yeah,
part of my dad or a little piece of I was like, okay, no, this is disgusting.
This is not okay.
It is not.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's wild. Oh, I found it. I sneaked into my sister's room after my parents had gone to bed. I pushed up her nightshirt and put my ear to her belly. My father was in there, small and unborn.
Oh my God. You are like, there's really something wrong with you, kid. Oh, and man. He's like, what, 12 years old, right? Am I wrong?
They're like young kids. Like, I'm not talking like 16-year-olds. Like, at the beginning, they're like 8 or something like that. Like, and then, of course, we do jump a while, like a few years at a time, because eventually they're like trying to, you know, buy mopeds. And like, they're like 16 or so. They're like trying to get into real relationships instead of like their weird games that they play.
Like when they were like, oh, and the girls outgrew our games, you know, and they started dating older guys. I'm like, the games?
I know.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Maybe they just thought they deserved a little better or something.
I know I'm laughing and it's like a real serious matter, but like that was me in shock. Like, is this really happening? And with the baby part and another part where you were talking about, are we done talking about Christian? Was it Christian that we were just talking about?
I was just going to mention about how he finds out if you drink on Christmas Eve, you don't stop. And then his dad dies on Epiphany. Like, that's the thing. It's like, it's not supernatural, but like then something like this happens.
Yeah, you're led to believe because he got that information from the hell guy, was it? Or it was just a story at the bar?
Yeah, just like from the local town drunk, basically. He was like, you can't drink on Christmas Eve because if you drink on Christmas Eve, you won't stop. And his dad literally does not stop drinking, can't eat anymore. And then dies like by the 6th of January.
Yeah, and it was his doing. Like the kid thinks, oh, I did that because of the sister.
Yeah. He was like, well, I'll just make my dad drink on Christmas Eve, and then it'll take care of it himself.
And then it happens. Yeah. And another, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's where I was going with the supernatural. How when that mother, I can't, was it Hilda? Hildy?
Hild is Alex's sister.
Okay, no. Whoever the lady was with the son that died in the when they received the letter, and they end up dying, and you almost believe that something happens in the town when the mom realizes, oh shit, did we just do this? Something happens, and she believes it's their ghost.
Oh, yeah. Well,
did I connect that right?
Yeah, I think so, because that's the thing. It's like if supernatural things aren't happening in the story, like as readers, we're not supposed to take it as supernatural. That doesn't really matter, because the characters believe that the supernatural is real.
Okay.
Like they're believing the superstitions. They see something that they can't explain right off the bat. It's obviously
that
a ghost or something.
Right.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about now.
I do see the supernatural in it, with what you said with the mouth of hell there and all that, which I was not connecting before.
Yeah. And yeah, oh, let me see this one. Let's see. Did a good job of showing how childhood memories seem so much different when you're older, eerily prophetic. Yes.
I like your insights, Bernard. You have some good insights. I don't think like that when I read. I just read to read.
Well, yeah, because if you think back on it, it's like magical probably isn't the right term for this story.
It's like a dark magical, like a dark.
Like when you look back on childhood, like something that was so little, or like now as an adult it was little and didn't mean anything, it wasn't important, or like it was scarier or not as scary as you thought. Like it's always like switches up when you're an adult and you can look back, like hindsight's 2020 basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's to me it's fun, because it's like you yourself start questioning, should I be believing that this is supernatural, or is it just because they think that way?
They believe that, yeah. Well, I was just gonna mention another part that it slipped my mind. Wow. Oh, who was, look at me taking the live to clear my head. What was going on with the apothecary woman or man?
Okay. So
that she wanted with the letters, and she like sort of framed them. What was going on there? Was that just them being?
Yeah. So Kath is the like village crazy lady, they call her, like she's the one who claims that she can speak to the dead, sees the dead. And she's the one that claims that there are 9 like dead children following her around. So they decide, Lind and Ank and like a few more of their friends decide that they're going to play a trick on her, because they're just like evil little children. Or teenagers or whatever. And so they're going to write her a letter that tells her like pretend to be a secret admirer or something. And they also link the apothecary man into it. Like they decide that he's going to be the person that they pin this secret admirer on, because Lind stole from his shop once and he found out, told her dad, and she got in trouble.
Okay.
Because she was stealing cream to help her. For her. Yeah.
Okay.
So they write letters and are able to like get them together. And I think they don't expect, or he doesn't expect it to be Kath. And then like he runs away, and then they scare her and they act like ghosts because she is unstable and claims to already see ghosts and stuff. But then that leads to the police discovering 9 dead children in this woman's yard, which is
the woman Kath.
No, another woman's yard.
Another woman. Yeah, I know. I remember I feel like around there, or maybe a little bit after that, is when I stopped the audiobook, and I was going to ask you what's up with the 9 kids that they find.
Yeah, so there's a family in town, the Hyde Run family. They are the family of the little boy who was killed when he dove for the hatchet, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe. So there's these rumors that like this woman acts really weird. Like every time around like this time of year, she disappears, she's gone for a while, then she reemerges and she's fine, she's well. Or she's having all these abortions and like hiding her dead fetuses or whatever in their yard. And then Martin, our main character, Martin, his dad is like the town constable, and he goes with other police and finds all these dead children in the yard. So a completely different woman from Kath, who's claiming to know that there's all these dead children following her around.
Oh, so that's how they link the dead children. And why was she doing this? Do they go into it?
No, it's just like, I think, and her husband's like a drunk and stuff. Like he goes to the bar and just drinks all the time. So I don't know if like maybe he was abusive and that's why she kept like having like miscarriage. Maybe they were like miscarriages or like stillborns or something because of it. But yeah, it was like every time she would like go through that, she'd come out and she'd be all happy. And then like, it was like clockwork for like 9 years at the same time of year. It was, yeah, really weird.
Oh my lordy.
But that's another thing where it's like, oh, is this supernatural stuff real? Because Kath knows about these kids. Right. Or did she like know? And then in her like maybe twisted, mentally ill mind,
like it messed her up, and
yeah, like, and that was her way of like coping or something. I don't know.
Wow, yeah. What a book! It's so short, but to be sitting here for 41 minutes, we've had longer books that we've finished in 20 minutes. This book was like, yeah, and we're still talking. There's so much to unpack.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's like one of the things that I like is like the writing style. I went to college for science. Like I don't have like I don't have the proper terms for like this stuff, but
yeah, me too.
The writing style is like just to the point. Like we're not bullshitting around. We're not. It's just so much in this little thing.
Yeah, and it's so everything is spoken of so nonchalantly. Like this was just an everyday, like we're reading a journal of somebody that has, or a few people that don't have any kind of remorse, no kind of anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see.
Oh wow.
Oh wow, yeah.
Wow.
Well, you know, too, and I feel like I can't speak much because I've never lived anywhere other than America or whatever. But I feel like places outside of America that have a longer history. I mean, like comparatively, America is still like this little baby, like historically wise, like when it comes to like colonization, like starting there.
Yeah.
But like places like Ireland and Germany, like all of those places, you have so much more history, so many more different variations on like culture and tradition, like just so much more.
Yeah.
That it's like,
I love Irish folklore. Oh, it just tickles me pink. I love it so much.
I know. I'm basically 50% German, 50% Irish. Like I got a little bit of other stuff sprinkled in there.
That's why I love you so much. I think that's why it is. Because
that's why I've got the temper I've got.
One of my dreams, I mean, I've never been Bernard, so you're probably like, please, lady, do not. But one of my dreams, or not really dreams, but because I don't see it happening, I'm too much of a chicken to come outside of my comfort zone, but I would love to go live a year in Ireland. Or I have a couple of those, but they're all in that same vein. But I don't know. I just like, it seems so whimsical and magical, but like all the culture and like the folklore and the stories, I'm just,
yeah. I think that's what it is too, is like, there's just more time for more history and, you know, and it's,
and things that in their stories that that you wouldn't even like dream of here in America, you know? Like, I love it.
Yeah, me too. Everybody always thinks the grass is greener, you know?
Exactly. I tell my husband that all the time. I'm like, just leave me here. Maybe we'll go like for like a week or something. But I'm like, this is my comfort.
Yeah. No, I would love to. And I'm sure my husband would totally travel more. But like airplanes, especially over all that water.
No,
I can't do it.
That's what I tell my husband. I'm like, I can't, just the plane in itself. I have a hard time flying within our, in the United States. Like, even if it was an hour, it's just like you're closed in there with other germs and other things. And I'm just like, no, thank you. You know, then you see all these movies with the zombie apocalypse happening in an airplane, and you're like, why even risk it? You know?
Oh my God, yeah. Oh,
I'm just messing around. But yeah, I don't like planes either, definitely.
no. And I worked for an airline for a very long time.
Could you have like flown for free and stuff?
Yeah, you sign up and you get different benefits depending on how long you've been there and all that stuff.
You're like, no, thank you.
Literally, people I worked with, like one person on a Friday afternoon would go fly to London, fly back to work on Monday, and yeah.
That's so awesome. I wish, but not really.
No, look, for real, I was in the maintenance department of an airline, and I know how safe it can be.
Okay, it's safe. Okay.
Oh, yeah. No. Like, most of the things that happen on a plane are, like, really dumb shit. Like, the air filter or air thing is broken, or like, oh, my armrest doesn't work. Wow. Yeah, like, it's dumb shit. Yeah. Because there are so many tests and, like, manuals and requirements and redundant systems and training, and, like, it is the safest way. But my ass ain't getting on a plane.
Yeah, I'm a little bit claustrophobic, and now I get claustrophobic on a plane, like if I'm on a window seat. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, we just traveled. It was a few months ago, but we were just traveling, and I was on a window seat, and I can't remember why. No, I'm sorry, I was in the middle seat, but still, it's like right under that thing on the top.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, I was like having a panic attack. I was crying, and then there's people getting on the plane, and I almost lost it. So like there's instances where I get claustrophobic. And why are we talking about this? I'm so sorry.
Don't know. I know we're both gonna start having panic attacks. Everyone's like, you're in your house, you're not on the plane.
Relax. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Oh. Okay. I've been going through my notes to see if there's anything else that I want to talk about. I did like the story of the true heir, or like the rightful heir of like the wealthy house.
Yeah, and he was in the maze. What was that?
Yeah, he was like hanging out in their maze. The Van Kampoffs. I think that's what it was. But Lind like finds him, and he's like, oh, let's play hide and seek. She's like, what the hell is going on here?
He seemed like kind of crazy.
I think he's like, I don't know if he's like mentally ill, or there's some kind of.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Like if maybe he's like developmentally delayed, and they just kind of treat him like shit because of that. They're like, they don't want him to be the rightful heir because he's not.
Right.
I don't know what the issue is.
Yeah.
He seemed fine. Like, he seemed kind.
He was very kind. He said he was a professor.
Yeah. So maybe he was mentally ill. I don't know.
Maybe.
But he gives her like the key to the house, and she's like, hell yeah, this is great. And her dad's like, no.
No, thank you. There's something wrong here.
Yeah. And it's like the big secret. And she found out the big secret. And her dad, I think, is worried, like, what are they going to do to us if we know the truth, kind of thing.
Yeah. And then he gets fired.
Yeah, but I think they end up taking him back, though. And then there's Rutger is like the young man of that family who's going to inherit everything. And his he kind of has a little fling with a girl in town, but then ends up, once she gets sick and he can't see her anymore, ends up getting with another girl and ends up getting her pregnant. They get married. And so Lind and the ill girl, who her name is Ilsa, I think.
Ilsa, yes.
They decide Ilsa wants to get back at Rutger for getting another girl pregnant and marrying her. And so they trick the wife to come out with the baby, and Ilsa ends up breaking the baby's neck. Do you remember that?
Oh my gosh.
Or did you not make it that far yet?
I did. Yes. That she just dangles the baby because the husband ends coming out, and she's just dangling the baby. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't understand why, because I know that Lind, she was kind of shocked when she saw Lind there, and she was like, what is she, after the whole
I think like Lind, I don't think Lind really fully realized what Ilsa was going to do. I think there was this idea that they were going to like trick her or scare her or something. And so they like go there, and Elsa kills the baby and the mother of the baby.
Okay, no. So what she does is she puts her hand around her mouth or whatever through the back, and the lady drops the baby.
Yeah.
And she's like suffocating her. And Linda's like, what are you doing? No, we were not supposed to be doing this. And she was like, well, you got it. She sort of like gets her off of her. So the lady's breathing. And she's like, well, you got to do something, because she's going to turn around and say something. She's like, but I didn't do anything. And she's like, well, nobody's going to believe you.
Yeah, so Lind ends up having to kill the mother after Elsa kills the baby, but then Rutger finds out or comes to them and sees what's going on, and he gets mad and kills Elsa.
Yeah.
And it is just like...
Well, but can you imagine? She doesn't kill the baby. She's holding the baby. Rutger comes out, and she snaps the baby in front of his face.
Yeah, like, and that's what sets him off, and he kills her.
And he kills her.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Like, things just go so fast. Like, it escalates so fast. Like, there's no, like, long description in between what's happening. It's just, like, dead.
Happened, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It was so crazy. Yes, I forgot that part. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so you're 25 minutes. You made it. Is that 25 minutes on, like, 2 times speed? You made it pretty...
So like I think it was like 2:40, and I was like, I don't know how long I needed. I was like, I put it at 2.5. I'm like, what I get, and what I miss. But I did pass that. It says here I'm on chapter 13, but I don't know whose chapter this is. Hold on, let me put it.
I could see that he was blushing. Finally, the couple moved into the new house.
The couple,
the large bed Alex and his father had built together. And to please Hilda, Olaf had a large vanity shipped from Hamburg. Hilda showed it to all the women.
Okay, let's stop it, because I don't know if it's gonna.
So that's I think that's when they're like. So we talked about Alex and how he inherits the inn, and then how his sister-in-law had been sleeping with the father while the brother was gone, and the brother finds out, leaves again, and then eventually Alex and Hilda, the sister-in-law, get married.
Oh, yeah. It says, so now I put it at 1.2, and it tells me I have 53 minutes left. So
okay. Yeah, it's God, yeah, and I'm going through my notes, and when Alex rapes Ankh, when he's picking her up and chauffeuring her, he tells her when he's done, he says, next time you can show a little more feeling. I was like, oh, this book is so disgusting. I was like, oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Horrendous. Yeah, so I think we covered all the main characters.
Yeah.
We talked about Christian finding out towards the end of the book, he starts to connect the picture that his dad had. I did a little research, and it's like, I think what he sees is that his dad was a part of, or like working with, the National Socialist German Workers' Party. So like, that's why he was in that picture, like delivering supplies or something. Oh. And I think that's why he starts realizing like what's going on and what the secret like barracks are.
Okay.
There's like when he gets to the barracks and they're all like shut down and stuff, he finds like that there's barbed wire there, and it's like, why would you have barbed wire? Is usually like to keep people in, keep people out or something. Yeah, it's that's basically like what the end is like him coming to terms and figuring out what things are. Like finding like a large barn like structure. Another thing that I was not kind of confused about, like I wonder how it relates to World War II and concentration camps, but they talk a lot about the train that goes through town and how it there was only one track through town, and it went to the factory, the Brumers factory. But then when he's out at these barracks, he sees other train tracks, and he's like, what are these for? And I know they use trains to move people and supplies and everything, like that was the big thing. So he was like, what is all this stuff? And it's kind of like he is figuring things out. Like I know on one location he sees a wreath that appears to be like one that you would leave like on a grave or at a memorial site or something. And then yeah, so, and then he talks about like the guys in the picture wearing the gray clothes, and it's kind of just like him figuring out like what all this means and how it's connected to the outside world and stuff like that. And then he does mention that there was a camp for German youths. So I think they start talking about like East Germany, West Germany. I'm not great on my history, but like he starts to like notice. He's just like putting things together at the end, and yeah.
And so what we're led to believe is that this was an old concentration camp.
I think that's what it is. Somehow it's like a concentration camp
where they live.
No, it's like outside of Hammersmore. Yeah, so it's kind of like Christian one day is like messing around with the girl, and she's like, "Hey, come check out this place." And she takes him on this long walk, and she shows him these barracks, and like later on at like dinner one night, he brings it up. He's like, "Hey, have you guys heard about this?" Like at the dinner table, and his parents are like, "Oh, no," like they don't want to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he even like tries to find it again, and it's really hard for him to find it. He can only find it at night, and that's like another like supernatural thing, like the evil. Oh man, I wish I knew where that quote was, because it's a good one. But he's only able to find it. Damn. It says something about how he, for some reason, his body remembers how to get there when it's dark out versus during the day. Oh. Yeah. And then we get an epilogue, and it's like back to present time when they're adults again. And it's kind of like, it reiterates, time is of no importance, and it kind of just catches them up post funeral. Like they go to the inn or the bar that Alex owns, and I think that's about it, really. They kind of, Lind and Christian are like, yeah, we're going to leave. We're going to get out of this town. We're not going to stay here.
Yeah. I mean, poor Lind, after what she was looked at. I mean, nobody liked her. Like, she supposedly did all this. I mean, she did she do? What did she?
Well, she, killed that wife. I
feel like she's very easily manipulated. Like,
yes, and like so many things were done to her. Like, she felt like a victim more than like a perpetrator.
Exactly. So I'm like, that she had to leave, because what was she gonna do in this town?
Right. But I think part of it too is like they are able to come, like those two and Martin, because Martin doesn't even want anything to do with them anymore. After the funeral, he doesn't want to go to the bar and be with them. I think they're the ones who are able to realize the otherness or like the evilness of that place and like the toxicness of it, and they want to leave because but the real world, the rest of the world is like trickling into this town, because like the inn's getting bigger. There's tourists, like they're opening up to tourists and stuff. And Christian hears one of the tourists talk about how the people there, they mention that everyone has narrow shoulders, wide hips, and large feet because they're all incest. Like there's still like this otherness to them. But like it's like they're finally slowly taking the rest of the world in. But yeah, they're like, yeah, we need to get out of here.
Like, yeah, I would too. That's wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just,
what a crazy book, man.
Yeah. It's wild.
How did you come across this book?
I don't know.
Probably somebody mentioned it.
I know, it had to have been like BookTube or something, because
maybe, yeah. I've always been like intrigued by that cover. I've always seen the cover, but I'm like, oh, maybe one day I'll check it out. And when you posted it for the group, I was like, oh, now is the time, because that cover is super. It's almost like Children of the Cornish, like.
Yeah, and like, I don't know if I can get it on camera. Probably not. Like, there's
I just saw
a little glittery. It says like, if you tell on me, you're dead. Which is like a line in here.
I love that cover. Yeah, it's the kid.
Yeah,
when they fight. Is that supposed to be Lind?
That I don't know, because it looks like they're just eating It looks like it's one of the kids that's like eating from the cooking competition, like eating just a biscuit full of people.
Oh.
But that's another thing we didn't even talk about. After they suspect the woman of cooking people into her food, they go and they burn down her house and kill her whole family and all the kids.
Like nothing.
Like, yes.
Like nothing. Like,
oh, we march, we go, we burn, we kill. And
yeah, they didn't hear explanations. They didn't want to know anything. They just went, and I was like, wow, that was so easy for them. Like, how scary.
Right. And then they're like, okay, we did that. Let's go home and hang out, go.
So who's the wife? Who's the wife or who's the husband that lady's married to? The one that got her into the competition and he was afraid that she wasn't going to win and they weren't.
That was Martin's mom.
Okay.
She enters the competition.
Okay.
And then it's another woman. Oh, that's the Heidbrun person. I'm getting confused, but it's another like side person who they're like, her stuff's really good. Like they had just moved to town a few years ago, and every year she entered, they're like, why is her stuff so good? And then they blame her.
Right.
And then they just go and take them all out.
Oh my gosh. That was so like if they didn't agree with you or like you, or they thought that you were a witch or something, bewitching people or like whoring around, you were just dead. Like that's it.
And that was another aspect of that woman in the cooking competition was like, even though she had lived there for like 3-4 years, she was still seen as like other and outside. Like it didn't matter that she had been there for a while.
Yep.
It was, I wish I remember who I heard about this from.
We hear about so many books
maybe
all the
Alex
time.
from the Bookubus. She used to be Hey Little Fisher. Maybe her.
Yeah, it sounds like a book that she would talk about.
It's got to be somebody like that. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, you know, have you ever read? I was supposed to read it this December, and I never did, just because so many books, man. And just because I heard from this book from her, and also Kelsey. Do you follow Kelsey Slime and Slime? Okay, Such Nice People. Have you read this? So I think it's supposed to be like a fucked up familiar kind of thing. I think this takes place on Christmas Day. That's why I wanted to read it around the Christmas season. But it's supposed to be like a fucked up family dynamics and like killing and like that kind of. It says Tom Nash, president of the senior class, captain of the basketball team. Life was opening its arms before him, but Tom could think only of death. As Christmas drew closer and his relatives made their holiday plans, Tom, tormented by voices in his head, made his own plans to murder his whole family. Only Kit, his favorite sister, could be allowed to live. All the others would perish. That was the way it had to be. So, like, I know you like weird, like.
I will put that on my TBR.
I heard from Kelsey and from Alex. So I feel like they all have like similar undertones to them, like just like fucked up people dynamics.
Oh yeah.
But it's really hard to find, so I'm sorry for doing that to you. If when I finish reading it, I could always send it to you. You could read it and then send it back, because it's really, really hard to find. Like people sell it for like $300, and yeah, it's insane.
Well, I'll put it. Look, I'm not going to read a Christmas book unless it's December.
Me too. Me too.
So like, I'll just every time I go to, I'm always at used bookstores.
Yeah,
it'll be on my list of like books to like dig through. Yeah,
dig through it. Look for it. It's Sandra Scopatone. And I've always I was able to find it. I paid a little penny for it. Not anything crazy. I think it was like $30 for a damn mass market paperback. That's like a lot of money. But I wasn't finding it. Like I was $200, $300, and that was like 2 copies. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna pay for it. And I didn't even read it this year. But I'm dying to.
Do you ever use Abe Books?
Yes.
Okay.
Do they have it?
No.
It's not my first choice to look. I look through thrift books and things like that, but Abe Books is like for books that I can't find in the US, I'll go to them. Yes, $300.
They do have a copy for $50.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Look for it whenever you're out in the streets.
They've got hardcover copies, $60+.
Yeah, it's crazy. I hope it's good. Kelsey said that she loved it. And she was talking about how like crazy it was. And obviously Alex talks about it all the time too.
Oh, what's this? All-time favorite. Werewolf of Paris.
Oh, let's look it up. Oh, okay.
I was gonna say 1933.
It's probably public domain already.
Yeah, which makes me feel like elderly because you only have to, like, God. Okay.
When they say the late 1900s, listen,
Ah,
I'm
okay,
like, wait,
yeah,
what? What are we talking about?
Oh, I picked this book this month because I turned 33 this month, so that's why I wanted everyone to read one of my favorite books, which just says a lot
When
about.
when did you turn 33? Your birthday passed?
Yeah, on the 21st.
Oh my gosh, happy birthday. I'm so sorry.
No, it's a touchy subject.
I bet. I've been so out of it, like just completely out of it. I barely go onto Instagram only to post and I get out. So I'm like, I feel like I'm behind on things. I'm so happy birthday. Well, it was a really crazy. Did you freeze? I think you froze. Can you guys still see us? Because I think Carol froze. Yes, you could still see. Oh, there.
Maybe
I think
I'm
she
back?
might be. Yeah, I see the little spinning thing, but I could hear you. There you go. You're back.
I was like, I don't know what's happening.
That's probably the internet.
They're doing like putting in, like, for the past like year, they've been putting in like 5G and all kinds of wiring and stuff all over.
Oh,
So it's interesting. The werewolf. I'm looking at the Werewolf of Paris. Oh, it's only.
you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
How about now?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. I was just looking up the Werewolf of Paris.
Yeah, I found it here by Guy Endor. Is that who? Yeah,
Yeah.
Guy Endor. Endor. It has an adaptation in 1961.
Ooh. I might have to read this. Werewolves freak me out. Like, why don't we have more of them? Like,
Yeah.
could you imagine, like, just a wild beast, like, chasing you down? I don't know.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I don't know. And it's such a, like, so many countries believe in werewolves, and that it's such a common thing. I'm like, no way. The person who wrote Such Nice People is Sandra Scopatone. So I'm going to put it here so you could see how to spell it. Yeah.
All right, and before people start to go, next month we're going to read Where Darkness Blooms by Andrea Hanna. It's got like one of those.
Have you read this already?
No, it's got one of those like plant covers.
I love that cover so much.
I am concerned. I can't tell if it's young adult or not.
What is it called?
Where Darkness Blooms. It is a supernatural thriller, though, about a eerie town where sunflowers whisper secrets and the land hungers for blood. So I think it's like a supernatural thriller with like women going missing.
Okay.
And like secrets and stuff. I don't know.
Let me see.
I'm concerned because I think it's young adult, but
so it does say here on
Christine
on Goodreads, it says horror, young adult, fantasy, mystery, thriller.
Okay.
Queer. So I think it is YA. It doesn't matter. I mean,
well, I know. I have a hard time with YA.
Me too. But maybe this is the only way we'll read them if it's good.
Well, I mean, like, it just depends on. Normally, when it's like horror, thriller, like darker, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not going to read a YA contemporary.
Yeah,
but, yeah. So
yeah, I have. So this section here, this whole section is my YA. I mean, I have other things, but mostly this whole bookcase here is YA. And I've had them for years, but I'm having such a hard time, like, just reaching for them. But I don't want to get rid of them yet because you just never know, like when I would want to read them.
Yeah.
But I'm 41, so I don't know if it's the age because I was always like, I'm always gonna read YA. Woo! I'm a child at heart, and now I'm like,
no, I can't. Maybe I can do like fantasy too, YA, but not Like I can't read about high school. I just can't.
No. I mean, we're past that already, right? Like you
Even
look at
like
it, you're like,
even
really?
like young college, usually like new adults. I just unless there's like a fantastical element.
Yeah, I get it. I definitely get it.
I'm too much of a grandma for that. I'm an old soul.
I like it because I'm an old soul too, but I'm already old, but it's okay. I've always been an old soul, so now I'm just like catching up to it.
I know. I was like 20 years old and at home crocheting, and like I also did enough bad stuff and partying like in my high school years. Like
let's not talk about that.
It was like I aged out of it fast.
I get it. Trust me, I get it.
Yeah,
Awesome. So in darkness.
Yeah.
Do we don't have any like live show dates or anything yet?
No.
I haven't read. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll aim towards like the last week or the last weekend or something. It just my husband's wild work shift is
for sure. And if you need me to host or whatever it is, you know, we could do it too.
Yeah. Also, I don't actually. Let me check. Yeah, so the book released on February 21st, so it is a new release too. So, but I haven't heard anyone talk about it yet. So
awesome! I don't know why I believe seeing that cover on NetGalley and me requesting it. I don't know if I have it as an e-arc or not, but either way, I'm excited to read it.
I have it as an e-arc. So.
I have so many, and I've read so many now in this year because I'm trying to catch up, and I still haven't gone on to review them onto the site, so they're just still sitting there with no feedback.
You got to, because like I keep getting denied for like the big name ones, and they're like, your percentage sucks. I'm like,
yeah, that's something that I wanted to work on this year, but it's so hard for me. I don't know why.
No, yeah. Well, I want audiobooks. Give me the audio.
Thank you. I've been in such. Yep.
I can't read without an audio. Like I just can't get anything done.
Like, yeah, I get it. And you have a little one too. Like, yeah. Like so, when we're playing like Peppa Pig for like the 8th hour in a row, and I'm pretending. I need something else, like murder and demented things, instead of me being like, "Oh, hi, baby pig." Oh my gosh.
I told my husband, I was like, I am too much of an introvert to play with my own child this much.
I know. I listen, I totally understand you. And I always thought that there was something wrong with me because I'm like, this is just not, what is this? But I get you. You need that distraction.
Yeah.
Those audiobooks.
Even my husband's like, you've really learned how to play with him over the past few years. I'm like, well, yeah, I had no idea. I don't know how to play with kids. Like,
yeah, you sort of have to like go along with it and like make shit up. Yep.
Oh, yeah, it's been wild.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the live show, I guess. Thank you.
That was great. That was a great book. Great choice. It was hard for me to get into, but it was crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I totally understand why the audiobook. I think I could listen to it now after having read it 3 times.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would
try it. If you ever want to read it again, which I'm sure you will, because you're like a massive rereader. Yeah. Just try the audiobook just so that you could experience it with the accent and the way and like the different characters. I think it's pretty interesting, but I need the physical for next time. And writing things down. I think this is one of those books that I have to like really sit down, concentrate, write things out to like.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, I know. I was about to ask that. I'm like, in a good way or
no? But she liked the audiobook?
It was really, really good. I think she wasn't here for the beginning of the thing. I just had a hard time following along with the characters and the timelines, and it was just too much. And also, honestly, I don't think that having to cram it in because I am like the biggest procrastinator. I don't think that helped either. Yeah. So,
but so like the Gideon the Ninth, the Locked Tomb series by Tamsin Muir. That's my favorite series of all time. And I cannot listen to the audiobook of it first time around. I have to physically read those books, but then now I listen to them on audio all the time. Like
so that's good to know. That's good to know because I own the whole entire series and I'm dying to read it, but I was always going to do it with the audiobook thinking like, okay, since it is fantasy, that it would help me because, these fantasy worlds sometimes, and it's an adult fantasy. So
yeah, if you do like immersive, like do it together, that'd be good.
Okay.
But there's no way I could listen and nothing else.
And okay.
But now I do all the time. Like I literally just go to sleep to them sometimes.
Yeah, you love them. And every time you post about them, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to read it so bad.
But yes. Okay. So our next book,
Awesome.
Where Darkness Blooms.
Yep.
And then, of course, on the Instagram and everything linked in the description, I'll update everyone.
Yep.
Alrighty. So thank you.
Bye. Thank you.